Hello there, I'm Presley, and today I will be reviewing and going over my overall thoughts of the game Gotham Knights. Now, let's just go ahead and start off with a brief plot summary, like I normally start these off with, before I go into my overall thoughts, obviously. I am going to be giving, the basic flow of events, so things from the very beginning of the game to the very end will be spoiled, so just a heads up. It starts off with Batman and a certain other character whose name I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce properly. I've heard it pronounced Raz, Raze, Raish, but I'm not sure which one is the correct one technically. I'm just going to call him Raz for this video. He's fighting against Ra's al Ghul. Raz and Batman, they're fighting back and forth, Bruce is already clearly injured from where he's been fighting back and forth, This scene goes on for a bit. Ultimately, Bruce, he blows up the Batcave and, Wayne Manor. We see our four main playable characters arrive, to the collapsed rubble of Wayne Manor, of course being Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, and Tim Drake. They find Bruce's body. It's an emotional scene, clearly. We see Bruce's funeral. We see Jacob Kane giving the eulogy and stuff. Then we cut over to night at Bruce's grave. We see our four main characters show up there. They talk for a bit. Then we get to pick who we want to play as. They start investigating Kirk Langstrom, who was a scientist researching something. He's dead. Someone got rid of him, clearly. Ultimately, this leads in to the Court of Owls being involved in the plot. Jacob Kane is unmasked as, the voice of the Court of Owls and stuff. But he's killed. After you get pretty far into the story, as he's being arrested, Talia al Ghul shoots Jacob Kane from a rooftop, whoever you're playing as chases her down. She actually is now the head of the League of Assassins, since her father's passing. From this point onward, during the last bit we have of the game, Talia is the main villain at this point. And this leads to a big final climactic battle where it turns out Bruce is alive because Talia used the Lazarus Pit to revive him. Because, obviously people aren't going to stay dead when there's a Lazarus Pit around. Whoever you're playing at that point fights with Bruce. They're able to get him to come back to his senses. Then he's stabbed, but he's not dead at that point. Then you have to fight Talia. Then you defeat her, but she gets away, obviously. Then the Court of Owls shows up with their new voice, and Bruce decides he's gonna sacrifice himself. He's gonna get in the Batwing. He's gonna cause an avalanche in this underground cave system, while whoever you're playing as gets out of there. So, Bruce dies a second time. Tragic, clearly. Then you get an ending monologue with whoever you were playing as at the time. That's basically the overall flow of the story. Now let's move into my overall thoughts. I thought the story was pretty decent. I didn't really have any major complaints about it, The side cases, the little side quests, I thought they were very entertaining. I really enjoyed those. The Harley Quinn one was a blast to play. The Mr. Freeze one was a bit difficult. Only the first Mr. Freeze boss battle was difficult. The second one wasn't difficult for me. And I remember I was fighting him using Nightwing. And I had a really hard time beating that. I died 5 times in that first boss battle, despite being several levels over the recommended level to play it. I still struggled a good bit in that boss fight, But other than that, that was enjoyable. The Clayface section was fairly easy, I felt like, until the Bat Cycle portion in that one plant, which was agonizing to play through. I died 20 times, maybe more. I wasn't keeping count. I was too busy growing more and more frustrated and infuriated at this section. This Bat Cycle section was for some reason unreasonably difficult for me. I don't know why. But outside of the Bat Cycle portion, the actual Clayface boss battle was actually fairly easy. Like, I didn't really have any difficulty with it, you know? In terms of the gameplay, I personally really enjoyed the gameplay. I don't really have any major complaints about the gameplay. Hilariously, despite how much I hate the Bat Cycle portion of the Clayface side quest, I actually really enjoyed the Bat Cycle trials throughout the city. I thought those were pretty easy and they were fairly enjoyable. Now, the 4 different characters you can play as all have the unique little gimmicks that they have going on that make them interesting to play as. I played as Dick Grayson for the beginning portion, and then I played as Jason Todd for the rest. You know, Nightwing is... I don't know what I really say about Nightwing. I think he's pretty good. I really like how this character moves. It feels very much fitting for Dick Grayson, who is an acrobat. I really like Dick Grayson as a character, obviously. I think I mentioned in the last video I made that Nightwing is my favorite DC character of all. So, you know, it should come as no surprise that obviously I love Nightwing in this game. I love playing as him, but he doesn't really work for how I want to play the game, you know? But you know who does? Jason Todd. It's Jason Todd. Jason Todd feels like a heavier character, if that makes sense. Like, that was one of the first things I noticed when I played as him, was that he felt heavier. Which, I'm probably not explaining it good enough, but his build in this game, like, he's a more muscular guy. You know, he's fairly tall. Like, moving him around, he feels like he's heavier than Dick Grayson, which makes sense because he is, and I like that detail. Like, he has a nice weight to him that the other characters don't. You know, he's very useful for how I like to play this game. You know, I mainly use him for, like, you know, some more ranged attacks, you know, since he has his pistols and stuff. But he also, like, is able to do quite a decent, like, bit of damage with, like, his up-close attacks, which I also think is, like, really good, really nice. I love it. Tim Drake, Robin, he is more of a stealth character in nature. That's what he kind of excels at in terms of his more specific abilities and skills. But yeah, he's super light feeling, and I feel like his movements are very fluid. I could just be imagining that, but I felt like his movements looked and felt very fluid, like playing as him. Barbara Gordon is an interesting one, because I haven't played as her nearly as long. I only played as her a bit, you know, before I sat down and decided to record this, so I don't fully know. I haven't played as her long enough to fully have, like, as decent of an idea of how she plays as the other ones. But one thing I noticed immediately is that she delivers really, really heavy hits. Like, really heavy hits. And, like, honestly, that's pretty cool. Overall, I thought everyone's design for this game was pretty okay, you know? I thought they were all decent designs. However, I do have written down here in my notes, I absolutely despise Jason Todd's haircut in this game. Which is true. I'm not fond of his specific haircut in this game. Everything else about him, it's okay, you know? I like that he has the grayish white streak of hair in there, but his haircut, I'm not a fan of it in this game. It's starting to grow on me a bit, but I'm still not really that big of a fan of it. You know? And, you know, I say this with Jason Todd being my second favorite character in DC overall. I fairly enjoyed the little side stories for all 4 of the main characters. I thought the ending was alright, you know? It definitely wasn't the best ending, but it was okay, you know? I personally have like 40 hours logged into this game, so, you know, clearly I enjoy it. Now keep in mind that my rating here is just my personal opinion. Everything that I've said in this video is just my personal opinion. In terms of what I would rate this game, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It definitely is not one of the best games I've ever played, but I did find it to be very enjoyable, despite its flaws here and there. Oh, and Happy New Year! Well, this is where I'm going to end the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you in the next video. Bye!